I was partially right about the Tamil movie Maargan. It is different from a regular murder mystery investigative thriller. Welcome to the channel. This is where we talk about anything and everything related to cinema. Now let's get right to it. Maargan is a Tamil movie directed by Leo John Paul. This is his debut film, starring Vijay Antony, Brigida Saga, Ajay Dhisan, and many others. The film opens with a killer who injects women with something that not only kills them but also turns them completely black. Now, Vijay Antony is a police officer in North India who is about to resign. But when he hears about this case in Tamil Nadu, he wants to take it up officially or unofficially. And the reason for him doing so is his daughter was also a victim of the same killer, and also the reason for Vijay Antony's condition. Now, is he successful in finding the killer? Makes up the story. What worked for me in the film? The editing of the film. It is definitely noteworthy, especially since the director himself has been an editor for several other Tamil movies. The scenes featuring the supernatural elements were quite interesting and very well done. The underwater sequences and the cinematography in all those scenes was engaging. And a big plus for the film is its sound design. It carried the entire film on its shoulders, keeping the audience hooked in each and every scene. The cinematography and lighting, especially during the night sequences, compiled with the angles chosen, definitely needs to be appreciated. The actors, especially Ajay Dhisan, has gotten a significant amount of screen time in the film, and I think he has done a wonderful job as much as the director wanted. So did Vijay Antony in emotional scenes. How the film dealt with finding the killer is quite different from the normal template in this genre. The film does have a wonderful concept in its hand and a different way of handling the investigations. It all sounds good on paper, but I do think what reflected on screen was not quite there. Now, that brings me to what didn't work for me in the film: dialogues. So, firstly, what we write is quite different from what we actually speak. What I mean is, what we intended to speak while writing may not sound exactly the same when actually spoken. So, this was a tiny bit of a problem for me in the film because the conversation flow in the dialogues did sound a bit unnatural to me. Emotions and characters felt snappy. There were quick changes in emotions, especially there during a scene where it was full of sadness, and then there's a complete drop to calmness, and then there's anger, and again a complete change towards happiness. There wasn't enough time for the audience to process the emotional change. Ajay Dishan's character was quite wavering. There were sudden highs and sudden lows. The actors have done a wonderful job, each one of them. But was that intensity and graph needed for the scene at hand to convey things in an effective manner? Becomes a question. Setups, payoffs, stakes, and conflict. Initially, we know that Vijay Antony is a police officer from North India who comes to Tamil Nadu unofficially to investigate this case. And the current officer is not happy about it, and that was established. But this fact that Vijay Anthony is from North India does not come into play anywhere in the movie again, apart from a couple of dialogues. And the officer also, who was not happy about Vijay Anthony taking up this case, does not become an obstacle. And the left side of Vijay Anthony's body is completely black. But this particular element does not come as an obstacle anywhere in the film. Now we know Ajay Dishan's character is a suspect, but apart from that, he has no real stake in the overall narrative. Apart from the protagonist needing his help to carry the investigation forward, Ajay Dishan's character has no actual stake to go through all the troubles. There was a significant time in the screenplay for the flashback of Ajay Dishan's character. One part of it, that is his childhood, was justified because it had a payoff which the film relies upon. But the other part, that is his college life, did not carry any significant importance to the overall story, other than it being a small obstacle to Ajay Devgn's character. Now, one could argue that it was an obstacle, but the amount of screenplay time allotted to that flashback did not justify that obstacle. Now, you do sense the screenplay slow down a little bit because there weren't any subplots or small conflicts to create a sense of urgency to capture the killer. Other than the excellent BGM and other technicalities, there was nothing much to hook the audience completely to the scene. And the investigation sequences involving just Vijay Anthony, I felt it sort of fell flat because there was more of show and tell. It's usually either show, don't tell, or tell and don't show, but in some sequences there were both. Now we are introduced to Ajay Dishan's character's sister, and we are shown that they have a really strong bond, and that was the setup. But nowhere in the film that setup came into play as an obstacle, or did it increase its stakes in any manner for Ajay Dishan's character, nor did it play a role in misleading the audience and creating suspense. But the climax is with a strong and much needed message. Often, we tend to focus on other social issues while ignoring the ones right in front of us. And this particular one we may come across in our lives every day, be it in the form of comedy or sometimes even among kids in school. And what we ignore and think it to be small tends to blow up. Overall, the film is taking on a different and unique perspective for an investigative thriller tackling a social issue that needs to be spoken about more. But don't just take my word for it, check out the film yourself. All that being said, each person watching a film is unique and perspectives vary. What worked for a few may not work for others, and what worked for others may not work for a few. So give every film a chance, love cinema. Drop your thoughts about the film in the comments below if you have seen it, and subscribe to the channel for more videos on films and filmmaking. I'll see you in the next one.